golfj.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Golf J podcast on FingerLakes1.tv. I'm Jim Sinacropi here alongside Rhett Taccone and Doug Brown inside the FingerLakes1.com studios on the third floor of the North Park building in Seneca Falls, New York on Monday, June 4th, 2018. And tonight we'll be talking with a couple of gentlemen who are attempting to play 1,000 different golf courses in their lifetime. We'll get an update on how that's going. We'll talk about the Memorial. Bryson DeChambeau breaks through, gets a signature win. Tiger looks like the old Tiger, but not quite good enough yet to win. Kind of sounds familiar. The U.S. Open. Great job by the folks at Shoal Creek Maintenance Crew getting that course dry enough to play. We're going to talk about consistency in your putting game and probably a whole lot more. But first, I'd like to welcome into the show a couple guys who are on a really, really long road to play 1,000 courses. So long, in fact, that it's taken our two guests, Landon Owen and Brett McNamara, their entire lives, 30 years, to accumulate 200 courses each, taking into account jobs, families, and the fact that Father Time is undefeated. Their crusade was born from a desire to share their passion for the game in their pursuit of 1,000 courses. They're documenting it all on golfcrusade.com. And Landon and Brett, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good, Jim. Thank you.
So,
guys?
a little background. Landon, originally from Waterloo, New York, now lives in Johnson City, Tennessee. He's a 13 handicap sales professional named after Lanny Watkins. And then we have Brett McNamara, a Brockport, New York native, now currently in Charleston, South Carolina. He's an optometrist, and he's a 4 handicap. So, first of all, guys, how do you know each other?
Well, Brett, you want to take this one?
All right. I think basically our folks were friends in college at SUNY Brockport. And kind of we were just brought together because of it. And we've been friends probably since we were months old. We just didn't know it then.
Yeah, that is kind of.
So, are you guys? Are you buddies on the buddy trip that Zach Young joins you guys on every so often every year? Is that you both involved with that?
Yeah, we put that together a couple of years ago with the Waterloo crew.
Okay.
You know, Brett and I, we're probably alternating years. Brett and I will go do something one year, and I'll go with the Waterloo guys another year. But yeah, we've that trip was born out of just, hey, look, guys, I'm golfed out. Brett and I are kind of like locusts. You know, we move around from town to town, and when we've played all the golf courses, we move on. But we are kind of tied to the areas that we're in now, and we've golfed out pretty hard. There's not much left to do, so golf travel is a big deal for both of us, and we try to play when we're out of town. So what better than to do than meet guys halfway and get together and play. So yeah, we got a big milestone coming up. In about a month, we're going to go down to Pinehurst and play 3 or 4 different new places, a couple old ones that are old favorites, which are that's a rarity. But we're going to do that and hit number 400 while we're down there. So
wow.
Nice. Well, you got to kind of divide and conquer, right? I mean, you can't go together to all these golf courses, right? You got to split it up to get to 1,000. If you're going to the same golf courses all the time, you're going to take a little longer to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's starting to take that on. Where if I want to go to a place that I've loved, I'm like, wait a second, I got to pull back here and think out my options. Check it out.
Yeah.
So, Brett, how did you guys decide to make this a thing?
Probably 10 years ago, Lanny and I started chatting. He's a compulsive list maker. He started with all the courses he's played, and he kind of challenged me to do it. I played a lot of golf, tournament golf, growing up, high school, and in college, so I had quite a number of courses under my belt by the time I was in my early 20s. And so probably 5 years after college or a little later, he challenged me, and we kind of put our whole list down, and at that time I had more than he did, but he was on a tear, and he quickly jumped past me because I ended up going to school in my late 20s and not playing too much golf. And so for years we just kind of talked back and forth about how many we had, where we had played, and the fact that neither of us had really had that much overlap between, except for a few New York courses. We didn't really have many courses that we had each played. We had mostly these individual course experiences, so it kind of was born from that.
Where'd you come up with 1,000? I mean, that's a good round number, but is that in your guys' minds, are you in this for the long haul till you're in your 80s, or are you guys trying to get this done within the next 10 to 20 years?
Yeah, I don't know if my wife's listening, so I'm going to complete the search on that. But I think it's a life goal. It's not something that's feasible with, we both have young kids. I've got a 6-month-old today and a 3.5, and Brett's are right in there with me. So, it's a life goal. I mean, golf's a life sport. I think that's something that we certainly want to push out there, that this is something you can do for your whole life. And I've heard stories about people when they train for marathons, like, oh, hey, I ran 2 miles today, I ran 5 miles today, and they just keep going and going. Right. And it certainly helps you get through some of those times when you're just like, oh man, this is stupid. We're not doing this. So yeah, it's certainly a life goal. But I think doing the math for 1,000, we each kind of had 1,000 in our own head, and the math wasn't starting to work out. It was working out in the negative. So we said, a couple months ago, I posted a lot of pictures on Google Maps, and they have this great Google Guides program.
That's cool.
And I hit 1 million views, which I thought was pretty significant. So I started talking to some other guys that had blogs, and this was just a way. In Brett's list making, I had a bunch of lists that I was looking through, and I called him just out of the blue. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And he's like, yeah, we're in. Let's go. And we started putting it together and released the site about a month ago, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, and we've had great response. Thanks for having us on the show to help push that project through, and we just hope to inspire some other people to maybe start a list of their own, maybe set a realistic goal, join a club, play other places, whatever you like about the game, do it and spread it. The golf business needs people like that, and we're just doing it for fun. It's not something we're trying to make money on, or we just hope to maybe give some light to some courses maybe that deserve a little more publication, and just have a good time along the way and meet good people.
That's good. How'd you guys get started in the game? I know, Lanny, I know your folks personally. I doubt you got your start from your father.
That's true.
If he's listening, I hope he's laughing right now. But how did you guys get started in the game?
My dad brought my brother into the game. My brother's like 3 years older than I, and he was probably like 6 or 7, and my dad started to teach him. And so I was like 4, and I just wouldn't let them go without me. And so I just tagged along, and before I knew it, he was cutting down some of his old sets for me, and it just went from there. Like I played a lot of sports growing up, nothing particularly, or I didn't excel in anything, but I started to get fairly decent at golf, and I loved it. So it was just kind of, the ball got rolling there. Just played and played and played, and took me through high school. I did fairly well, and then I got to play a little bit in college. Poorly, but it was fun.
Yeah, I started playing real young, same thing. I was the older brother, and then was surpassed in talent by my younger brother very quickly. He played a few years of varsity golf. Doug, I think, probably gripped some clubs for him along the years.
I'm sure he did.
Yep. I never played competitively. I think I played one junior tournament at Silver Creek and shot 100 or something, and saw guys blowing drives out there. I'm like, yeah, I ain't doing this. But thankfully, my mom was a better golfer than my dad, I'm not ashamed to say, and she gave me a lot of good pointers throughout the years. And so they both taught us, but they knew that they were both players, and the only way to keep playing was to get us to play. Right. So we
great comment because it is just a game, and you can meet anybody and types of life and backgrounds and all that, and become a very common ground,
Absolutely.
with the game of golf. So that's a great comment.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about just the game of golf in general and course design and all this stuff with a couple of guys who've seen so many different things. One of the first things I did when I went to the golfcrusade.com was I went to the map and I saw that you've played 95 of those courses in New York State. And that makes sense because you're including all the courses you have ever played since you started golfing, and that's where you guys grew up. So you played Seneca Falls Country Club, Silver Creek, as you mentioned, Cuba Links, a 9-hole course that's now defunct right here in Seneca County. So you've played all the locals, but you've also played Oak Hill, Liberty National. I mean, really, you guys have played every type of course that you can play. And obviously some of those ones like Oak Hill and Liberty National are amazing in their own right. But do you have a particular, let's say, not even a design style, we can talk about that in a little bit, but a type of course, like a public course that's accessible versus a private country club, versus a TPC type of course? What type of place do you like the best and why?
Brett, you go take this one. I know what you're going to say, so I'll just let you do it.
I've always been partial to links courses, actually, and there's very few in upstate New York. But I mean, you can seek them out, like Hiawatha Landing.
Yeah,
that's a really cool course. And I just think that those are fun to play. I guess it's probably because it was so different from what I grew up looking at with all the Parkland courses styles, where it's just parallel fairways all around. I spent a lot. I lived for a while down in Florida, and pretty much everything down there is resort style, where you got houses or condos on both sides. I'm not a huge fan of that. I think that's actually kind of penal for a golfer, because if you have one bad shot, you're hitting 3 off the tee automatically. So I don't think it's that fun. I think it's neat that you can kind of just slash one a fairway over and hack it back towards your green and have a shot at it. But I've always been partial to the links, especially like personally, I like the sandbelt courses. I know they're not very linksy, but they're kind of Heathland style. They got great bunkers, and I think that's also the links courses' strongest attributes.
How about you, Lanny?
Brett and I were having this conversation, and we're coming up with topics and things to write about for the site. And Brett sent me this list of the most top 100 public, and then it was re-ranked by the cost to get on the course. And factored in that was the cost of stay and play if you can only get on if you stay there. Places like what was the one you sent me, May River?
Yeah, May River down in Beaufort.
It's public, but you have to stay there, and it's like $500 a night plus the $400 greens fee. It's like $900 to play. That's not a public course.
They do that a lot down in Hilton Head, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not maybe once every couple of years I'll spend $100 or so to play a bucket list course that is a public, or $150, but that's not what I like to play. I like to find the hidden gems. I love mountain golf. I mean, that's where I live now, is in the mountains. I've spent a few years in West Virginia. My in-laws live in northern West Virginia. My parents are retiring to northern Virginia in the Shenandoah Valley. We lived in Roanoke and Blacksburg, and there's just been some really good golf courses in the places that we've lived, and mountain golf is probably my favorite over a beach environment, but you can find something great anywhere. I probably prefer the modern versus the classic, but I really don't have a preference. It's just kind of whatever mood you're in, and it's really all in how the course takes care of their property and the people that you're running into there. They can really set the tone. The course can maybe be a little banged up, but you have great people there, and they make the experience for you, or vice versa. Sometimes the people aren't great, but the course is just so good you can ignore it. So you look to find the mix, and that's what we're trying to uncover a little bit, is take some of the guesswork out of for people if they find something that doesn't have a lot of pub or picture out there for them.
Yeah, the one thing, Lanny's done a few reviews for us on Golf J, and the one thing I noticed from when he does it, he's got a tremendous amount of pictures that he takes. His buddy Zach Young says he even takes more pictures than he takes shots on a golf course. So I don't know if that slows the guys down on the buddy trip. They might get a little annoyed with him, but he takes fantastic pictures. So great thing to add to your website is that every course you guys have played, you've got amazing pictures to tag along with it. To some of the course reviews you've done, or just for your gallery. It's great that you do that as well for every course that you review. And I just, once I saw, after I saw that they were doing this website, I went back to just try and, think of all the courses I've played. I've been fortunate to live in Florida for quite a while and traveled to the West Coast quite a bit. So I don't have a record of all of them. I'm just going through back in my head and trying to see how many I have. And, I'm a little behind you guys, but if you want me to loan you a few, I could do that for you.
Yeah, come on. and what is amazing to me is Rhett. If you guys don't know, Rhett actually gave me my first job in the sports business down with the Dolphins, and so we've known each other 17 years or so, and have never played golf. So that needs to be remedied. At some point.
We didn't have a whole lot of time to play golf those days you were working for me in training camp.
Well, we'd like to have you up to play it with us at Seneca Falls and do a proper review, because you haven't reviewed all the courses you've played, because, like you said, it's a list of just it's not a prerequisite to have reviewed every course you've played. Mm-hmm. But I would love to see, from your perspective, a review of our home course.
Certainly, and it's been a long time since I've played there. Some of those are 15, 20 years probably with Seneca Falls. Wayne Hills is probably the most recent one in the Finger Lakes that
Mm-hmm.
I played new. Bristol Harbor, we did Greystone a couple of years ago. That was a great one. I played Silver Creek last year for the first time in over 10 years, I think. So being that we have this thing, and I try to play a new place every time I come to town, but it's fun to check off some old ones again, and Seneca Falls is certainly on the list. We'll have to hurry because the folks aren't going to be there for very long. So we'll have to set up something in place soon.
All right, yeah, that'd be good. Brett could set that up. He's good at that stuff.
You could do that. You guys should get. If you do come back up here, if you haven't played at Robert Trent Jones at Cornell, that's a great one to add to your list. A lot of good pictures you can take there too. If you guys, I didn't see that one on your list. Is that one you haven't played yet?
Yeah, it's on there.
Oh, is it?
I actually walked it with Brett. Brett played in the States there a couple times.
Oh, okay.
We could get you up to play for our annual trip to Turning Stone. You can knock 2 courses off your list in one day.
Yeah.
If you haven't played those courses at Turning Stone Resort.
No, I have not, and I've heard great things about them.
Those are great courses.
Amazing. Yeah, we go every year. And that's one of the things, we were talking about leading up to this. We were like, how many courses have we all played? And, I probably play 60 rounds at least a year, probably closer to 70 plus rounds a year. But those 70 rounds are probably on 10, 12 courses maybe at the most per year, because I play so much at my home course, and then I visit all the ones in driving distance, that we like to hit. And we go to, like I say, to Turning Stone every year, play at a tournament at Dutch Hollow every year. It was cool. There's a lot of courses that I've played that I know you guys haven't. I noticed you guys haven't been out to Vegas yet.
Vegas.
No.
Gotta get.
The West is going to be elusive for a little while, I'm afraid.
I'll loan you a few of the West Coast ones.
I'm sorry?
So I'll loan you a few of the West Coast ones.
Yeah, that'd be good. Some of those that I've seen pictures of that you played make anybody jealous, so I'll certainly go out and play with you sometime.
Unfortunately.
That does very well.
I married into a camping family. They love to camp with their RVs, and I imagine it actually. My wife's parents are out in Utah right now, so I can envision us doing some 2, 3, 4 week trips across the country, knocking out 20 or 30 courses in a few weeks, and that'll really get the list going when you need a kickstart. So, looking forward to all those things.
That's great.
Jimmy, you've played some good ones in Vegas, haven't you?
Yeah, I can't even remember the names. You might even know
Rio Seco.
Rio Seco is the best one.
Which Harmon is that?
Yeah. I didn't see him. I asked if he needed a fourth, but
he was looking
wasn't
for
there.
you.
Yeah. So, I want to ask you guys your personal favorite course out of all of them you played so far. But before we do that, I want to know, like, what each maybe together. Let's go together. What courses are absolutely on your bucket list to fit into this 1,000 that you haven't played yet that you hope to play together?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, Lanny got me hooked on playing Mike Sprant's designed courses, and there's 7. And I only have 2 right now. So filling out the other 5, and there's a couple near me in South Carolina, a couple in Virginia, and then there's one out in Monterey. I think it's a redesign. What is it, Monterey Country Club Shore course? Is that it?
I believe so.
But some friends of mine in Charleston last year moved out to Monterey, so I'm thinking that's going to be my my ticket out there at some point. And those Strands courses are so different and unique. I think those are probably tops on the list.
Yeah, I'm the same way. He's my guy. We're going to play Tobacco Road. Brett's not played it. I have, and it ate my lunch for me. So I'm trying to get some revenge. My brother smoked me there, and he won't let me forget it. So I know I got no shot to beat Brett, but at least beating the courses, it'll be worth it. Tot Hill is probably one of the most underrated courses. It opened. It's in the same area as Tobacco Road. It's a Strands course, but Tobacco Road had a better marketing campaign. They had a better logo, and they had all the press, and they got the top 100 ranking. And we all know that if you start in the rankings, it's a lot easier to stay there if you're a college football or basketball fan. If you're outside the rankings, it's hard to crack in. And it's just so different. They're so different. They're love it or hate it courses. Thankfully, we both love them. Makes it easy to go. Brett's a big Court Crenshaw fan. We're going to play Dormy Club. That's a top 50 modern course. That'll kind of be our list. And surprisingly, our wives were on board with all of this. That was the greatest surprise of all was when we were like, hey, we want to get together and play these big milestone numbers together. It was like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, hey, we're on to something. So if you're out there and your wife won't let you take a trip, make a list. And tell her, I'm in a milestone. It might work for you.
So speaking of milestones, let's fast forward 20, 30 years, however long it takes, and you're at 999. What are you going to do for 1,000? Like by then you could hire a documentary filmmaker, or might be able to write a book, or maybe have your own movie. But have you even thought about that?
How much time you got for the show?
We'll go as long as you need. Yeah.
I don't know. For me, and Brett might have a different answer. I think it's neat. You got to bring it full circle. Go back to the beginning, and go to St. Andrews. I think that'd be neat.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have. It's not my favorite course, to watch on TV, but just the history of it. I think it's. There's only one. There's only one home of golf, and to hit a goal like that, doing it at the home place would be pretty neat. Walking across Swillican Bridge on 18, like all the greats have, that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, that would be cool. That's a
Great choice.
I'd take it. I'd go to the list, the best of list, and see what the best of courses you can play. I mean, Pine Valley is the number one. To me, obviously, to everybody, but I recently saw like a hole-by-hole flyby of Pine Valley, and I had never really seen any courses like that, or a course in that detail before. It was outrageous, the course. So, I mean, obviously that would be great, but I mean, the number ones you can get. I mean, I think it'd be cool to go to like Pebble Beach. I mean, ludicrous in price, but for that type of milestone, I think it would be acceptable.
Monterey, you bring your wallet, but it's well worth it.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them out there that are well worth it.
Yeah. Hey guys, if we make it to 1,000, I'm not paying for my 1,000th round.
Well, I was thinking, maybe you could somehow.
No way.
write the membership at Augusta and say this is what we're doing, and you guys want to be number 1,000 and maybe go play at Augusta. But
Muirfield, places like that.
Yeah, and some really exclusive.
Absolutely.
So
I think there's a charity component to some of those things down the road too.
Yeah, that's
we can
right.
have the courses bid on that, and we can give them the press. So tell all your friends, golfcrusade.com, and help us play Augusta National.
That's right.
Also on Facebook at facebook.com/golfcrusade, instagram.com/golfcrusade. Landon Owen, Brett McNamara join us, and I promised before I let you get out of here that I was going to find out what your favorite course to date is that you've played.
Brett?
Go ahead. I got to think about this. You go ahead, Lanny. I got a couple I got to whittle down to.
Yeah, I mean, favorite, like my favorite course, I would say is Tot Hill. It's certainly not the best in the rankings, but it's my favorite to play. If I had one course to play every day the rest of my life, that would probably be it. I might quit golf after a couple weeks, but it's awesome. Prestige-wise, probably Liberty National, but I think most underrated. It's in some rankings as far as like best classic courses, but there's a course down in Knoxville called Holston Hills. It's a Donald Ross course. Tom Doak did a redesign of it a couple years ago, more of a restoration. It's the most perfect golf course I've ever played. It's about 100 miles from my house. They have an affordable membership. Literally, if I were to join a course, it would be there. It's worth the drive. It's worth the money, and it is spectacular. It's probably the most preserved Donald Ross course in the country, and that's saying a lot, considering some of the stuff that's out there. But it's the best pure golf course I've ever played.
Yeah. I've played a couple just north of Tampa. One is the Worldwoods course, Pine Barrens.
Very good.
That course is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just awesome.
Did you like that one better than the other one?
Yeah, Rolling Oaks is also great.
Right.
I just like the waste bunkers of Pine Barrens.
Yeah.
It's just great. I mean, there's a couple par fives where you can take it safe down the left side, or you can try to cut the corner, but you have to carry it like 220 yards over the waste bunker. I mean, so it's like these risk rewards that are visually appealing, and if you can pull it off, then you feel like a hero.
Yeah, that was a challenging course. I got to play there last year, and enjoyed that very much.
My other favorite that I could, and for 20 years I've been saying, is this course, again, north of Tampa, called Lake Javita. It started out with they have two courses now. South course is the one that I prefer. They have a north course, which I just played recently in February, which was awesome. But the south course, I love it. It's in Florida, and on the 11th tee, the green is 94 feet below you.
Wow.
That just doesn't happen in Florida.
Right.
And it's cool, and it's actually quite affordable, and has the hardest opening tee shot / hole I've ever played, and it's just tough and fun and accessible. So that's probably Lake Javita South is one of my favorites. It's a Tom Lehman design with Kurt Sandness. It's really nice.
Have you guys, either of you, gotten to Stream Song yet down in Florida?
No.
You guys got to get there.
Yeah. I lived in Tampa for a while, and it was not there while I was living there.
Okay.
And when I went back this spring or this winter to play, it's starting to almost price itself out of my budget.
Yeah, that's true. It is a little pricey. It's a resort, but you can knock three of them out in 2 days right there, and you don't have to stay there either. It's all about timing. You hit it at the right time, and you can get decent rate there.
Summertime is probably when I'm going to go down there when it's boiling out and the prices are right.
You're going to sweat, but
that's on the list.
You'll be able to get there.
Well, listen, guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I was going to say kind of like Pinehurst in July, but they don't score it different on the list depending on what time of year you play. It still goes there. So
or Seneca Falls and Silver Creek in January.
If they were open and they allowed play, we'd probably be there.
Get a good rate.
Well, listen, guys, it's pretty cool what you're doing. I mean, something that we can follow from year to year. We're definitely have you back on the podcast maybe next season just to get an update, and hopefully we can link up and join you for some of these rounds on some of these courses. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out.
Absolutely. Thank you for the forum, and look forward. The next time we're up, we'll be sure to call you. We'd love to get together and hit it around a little bit. And thank you guys for all that you do for Finger Lakes golf and golf in general. So been a great follow and a good couple of friends there over the years. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Good catching up, Lanny.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, good talking to you, Lanny.
All right, so there you go, Landon Owen and Brett McNamara. It's golfcrusade.com. They're on Facebook as well. Golf Crusade, search for Golf Crusade, or Facebook.com/Golf Crusade, Instagram.com/Golf Crusade. And Brownie, I don't think we ever mentioned why he's named Lanny, but you know the story.
His father told me one time that they went to some tournament and Lanny Watkins walked past him and basically ignored him. And his father turned and said something like, "I named my son after you." And Lanny Watkins stopped. Now, I assume Bill Owen is listening to this show, or will be listening to it very soon. Mm-hmm. We can confirm or deny that. But I got that from Bill Owen, the father of Lanny Owen. So if somebody's telling a fib, it isn't me. Okay. But it sounds like it's a credible story.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
So
We didn't ask him how he got the nickname Dooner.
yeah, we didn't do that.
It doesn't. Yeah, I thought his last name was going to be Muldoon, but he's Landon Owen, who's also a famous soccer player.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know his name was Landon. I've always known him as Lanny because, like I said, I know the family and I know the names. It's always been Lanny. So.
Yeah.
But that's good.
Anyways, if you're looking to play more golf, this might be the way to get your wife to sign off, or
Seriously.
It's a good plan.
Yeah, I tell you, these guys, I'm a little jealous of them. Like I mentioned, I like to play, the same course as a member, Seneca Falls. I play that 9 out of 10 rounds I'll play all summer will be on the same course. But
right.
Real quick before we move on in the show, what's your favorite courses that you've played?
So my favorite course by far is Pebble Beach.
Well, there you go.
I was fortunate to play it twice.
Yep.
It's the best golf course I've ever played. The best conditioned golf course I've ever played is Oak Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And it's two different stories. I mean, Pebble Beach is about location. All right. And Oak Hill is a older golf course, and the condition there is just impeccable. So.
Yep. Well, I'm right out in that same area, just a little bit down the road. My favorite is Cypress Point. Between the land, the natural habitat, the ocean, exclusivity. I was just very fortunate to be able to know a member who got us out there twice. Mm-hmm. Played there, and actually was able to play there and Olympic Club in back-to-back days. Mm-hmm. So that was a good trip. Pebble Beach, Oakmont, and then Oak Hill. Yeah, Oak Hill is just fantastic. The conditions there. Yeah. The conditions at Oakmont were the same. Oakmont and Oak Hill are a lot alike, not course-wise, but just tradition type of big, old course. Clubhouses are amazing, a lot of history. Oakmont probably used to be a lot like Oak Hill when they had trees. Now they have one, I think, on the course, or very few. They've taken out about 4,000 of them. I played it after they took out all the trees, before they played the 06 Open there, I believe. 06, I think it was 06 Open. I got to play there a month before it, and the conditions there were amazing too. But Oak Hill and Cypress are a lot alike as far as conditions, the awesomeness of the course. You're walking around. I didn't play very well at Cypress, to be honest with you, the first time for sure, because I was just taking pictures and just looking at everything. You go in the clubhouse, in the locker room, Nicholas, Arnold Palmer, all the legends of the game are
So like about those courses is the lore, the history.
Yeah. You
go stand where Tom Watson chipped in at 17 at Pebble Beach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A few years ago, Ed Boudreau, Bob Fuller, and myself went to Inverary and Firestone back to back. Byron Nelson won there. Things like that. You go into a clubhouse and it's got clubs that were donated from all the winners over the years. And
right.
Just if you're a fan of golf and you're into the history of that and you see all that stuff, it is very captivating.
Yep.
And it's easy to remember.
Oh, yeah. I caddied once at Century Club where Ben Hogan used to be pro, and the whole time I was on the grounds, I just kept thinking, man, Ben Hogan walked here, and Ben Hogan, may have relieved himself on this tree.
Down in Westchester. That's a great track, down in Westchester.
Yeah.
Is there a plaque there or something?
I don't know. I just kept but, for me, I played a lot of big-name courses as well, and what makes a course go from into like my favorite category, which I'll name two, I think, is when you played it a couple times and you start looking forward to it and you start thinking to yourself, oh, I can't wait to play there again because I'm going to, and you start to learn the whole layout and you can actually play golf instead of just kind of, going in blind. And so Duno at Turning Stone is amazing.
Yeah,
we've been playing that every year. And so, I feel like I can score on it. And of course the conditions are just immaculate.
Yep.
And then Monroe Brownie up at play Monroe every year.
It's another good one.
In Rochester, and not a water hazard on the course, but just a wonderful place. It's just amazing.
You're right. That's
the conditions.
Every bit as nice condition-wise as Oak Hill. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, the conditions.
Oak Hill gets the notoriety.
That's a lot of it, just the conditions of a course, the specialness of it. I'd be remiss in not saying a couple down in San Diego I was able to play. Rancho Santa Fe Country Club. It's an older country club, and it's one of those things where you play it a couple times. The conditions are great. It's not built amongst the houses. It's on its own piece of property, and the big houses of Rancho Santa Fe are built all around it, and there's horse stables around it and things like that.
Right.
The bridges in Rancho Santa Fe as well.
If we let you just start naming all the courses that you played, then the show is going to be over soon.
Okay, I'll stop for today. But
did you get the hint?
You get to thinking about them though, and like you said, the Century Club. I was lucky enough to play there because of a gentleman I met through Cornell and things like that. And you just keep thinking about courses you've played, and he's like, oh yeah.
Tough to pick a favorite.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking during the interviews, how many courses have I played? I'm thinking 50, 60, I don't know. But now we started talking about golf courses. I don't know where it is, but it's a lot over the years.
I bet you, like I said, just guesstimating, I'm guessing somewhere between 50 and 70, but it probably is more if you really break them all down. I mean, I played some real, poor condition municipals over the years too, and we used to go to Myrtle Beach and play. Every year we'd play different courses, some of them the same, some of them different, but we did that for 7 years in a row, playing, like 5-6 courses each trip.
Yeah, you knock a lot out on the buddy trips.
Yeah, it adds up fast,
Absolutely.
So anyway, maybe we should all make a comprehensive list, and then we'll get to 1,000 before, we'll try to get to 1,000 for those two, and we'll go to St. Andrews. But yeah, that was pretty cool what they're doing, and certainly must be accumulating tons and tons of stories. We could do a series of podcasts with those guys. Yeah. But let's get back to the PGA Tour here. And Bryson DeChambeau wins at the Memorial. Now, the Memorial is a tournament that produces weird winners, for such a renowned tournament. Right. Whether it's William McGirt or now Bryson DeChambeau, although DeChambeau certainly has been trending towards this day. Yeah. He really struggled last season before winning at the John Deere, or was it? Well, he missed like 12 cuts in a row last summer. Yeah,
after his Masters debut, so to speak, right? He kind of disappeared for a while.
We wrote him off.
Yeah, and then he's definitely trending back upward.
Went back into the lab.
Yeah.
Interesting thing about him, though. Obviously, he's known for playing the same length irons and really getting scientific about the physics of it all. But in his post-round interview, he said that he considers himself a field player, which I thought was kind of odd. Right. So all this preparation and science and that he does is just to, in his mind, support his feel when he's playing the game. He considers himself a field player. So. It's always interesting when someone takes a totally different approach than anybody else and then has success at the highest level. He was a U.S. amateur champ, but you never know with these guys coming on a tour. And like we mentioned, it looked like he might not be able to cut it, but now he's got, I think, with that at least a 3-year exemption, right, with a Memorial win?
2-year exemption for the win. Mm-hmm. I think it's his 3rd win overall.
Right.
That's what I was doing.
I thought, maybe I'm wrong, I thought that this particular tournament carried an extra year exemption on the Memorial. But he's also a King Cobra guy, of course. Mm-hmm. LTD Pro 8.5 degree driver. 3 Woods a King Cobra LTD 14.5 degree. 5 Woods a Cobra King F8 plus baffler 17.5 degrees. And then he's got utility irons. 1 length utility irons for the 4 and 5 iron. Cobra King 1, and then Cobra King Forged 1 length irons, 6 through pitching wedge. Wedges are Cobra King 5 grind, 50 degrees, and a Cobra King wide low grind, 55 and 60 degrees. SIKC Series putter, Bridgestone Tour BX golf ball. So I wonder how many pros are playing. Tiger and DeChambeau, the only ones playing. They play practice rounds together, these two guys, Tiger and Bryson.
You talking about
Brant
Bridgestone?
Snedeker and Matt Kuchar.
Okay.
What about Jason Day? Is he playing Bridgestone?
No.
TaylorMade.
He's playing TaylorMade.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah. But those 4 names are the ones that pop the most.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And so another Bridgestone guy who got a lot of attention, that of course we're going to talk about at the Memorial, was Tiger. And my quick take on Tiger was, okay, here's a guy who just doesn't want to put himself in position where he can be the choker. He keeps putting himself in position where he has to come from behind. So he has these stretches early on where he takes himself out of contention to win the tournament and then loosens up, plays good, but it's always just a little too late. I want to see Tiger on this comeback take a 2-shot lead into the final round. That's what I want to see.
I don't think it's far away. I can't believe what I just heard.
Well, is Tiger? I mean,
the last 8 tournaments, you're probably spot on. Okay, but I don't think he's. Let me just make the cut, and then I'll come from behind. Because there's a lot of guys who used to do that. Good Saturdays and Sundays, get up in the top 5. There's no pressure. They're done 2 hours early. I just don't buy he's doing that.
I don't think he's intentionally doing that. I think that maybe like obviously. Tiger's physically back.
Yep.
The last hurdle to overcome is the mental side, and it just always seems to me like every week he's making these weekend charges, but it's even when you're watching it, you know he's probably not going to get close enough.
I think if he was really, let's say, nervous about doing what you said, I think it's more the driver would show worse shots, and the long game would be showing more worse shots. I mean, he led the tour, the event in strokes gained driving, strokes gained going to the green. I think if he was really going to wait till the weekend to get hot, I think those stats would be flipped.
Well, and he said in every round, too, he said he could have played 3 to 4 shots better. Yeah. So, I mean, he's thinking in his mind he's 18 under, or should have been 18 to 20 under based on, he said he could have shot a 63 in round 2. It was a 67, which is a great round, but,
the consensus in Tiger is that he's not when, but if when. Not if, but when. He's going to win. I kind of feel that way too, but I'm also feel like he's a fragile flower right now in the fact that if he gets himself into position and has some type of major collapse, I think it might be tough for him to come back. I think it would be a big setback. Yeah. Good. But he hasn't put himself there yet. Like, can you imagine if at Shinnecock in a couple weeks, he has a share of that 54-hole lead?
Mm-hmm.
Now
we need it.
Yeah, it would be amazing.
I love it.
But then, can you see if he is outplayed by the guy in the last group, or Well,
I think it depends. You get outplayed is one thing.
Well, true.
To play
right.
poorly is a different thing.
Right.
If someone goes down and shoots 63, you can't play defense.
No.
But if somebody shoots, say, 68 and he shoots 78, then it's a whole different story.
So I think it goes to what we were saying, and I brought up last week, with, he has to play at the maximum level to be in contention.
Yeah.
He was playing at the maximum level for him years ago. Everybody else was 10 shots behind him. Now, if he goes and shoots -6 at Shinnecock, there's going to be somebody else there at -4, -5. You know what I mean?
He's not going to win by 19 shots.
Right. He's not going to run away from anybody. So when he wins the next tournament, he wins. He's really going to earn it, because I just don't see him having that in him anymore to win by 8 to 10 shots. I think his game is now lumped in a group of guys who are really, really good players, world-class players, and any one of them can win at any time. So I think to get this first win, let's call it a first win in his second life, so to speak, it's going to be hard. And I don't know if he's going to win 10 more tournaments just because of the competition he's playing against.
Right.
Unless he starts putting.
Right.
Yeah. Like he used to.
The question on the putting is if he's hitting it where he's aiming it, because I saw him miss a couple of 5-6 footers, right? And I couldn't tell by the camera angle, but he misses one by like a couple inches to the left and it's breaking left or right. If he's hitting it where it's aiming, at least his mechanics are fine. Okay, if he's hitting it where he's aiming it, because that's what we talked about.
That's all you can do.
A couple shows ago with that device, right? Now, if he's reading the greens wrong and all that, totally different than he's aiming left and pushing it right.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I think he looks good. I tell you now, by the end of July, we're going to talk about that first W. It's going to be big. We're going to dedicate the entire show.
Well,
Okay.
no, if he wins, certainly we're going to talk about it. You know, I mean, I don't know if you want me to wear some funny hat or something.
Some red shirt.
I can get you a red shirt with
Red
Tiger's
shirt.
name on the
There we
front
go.
of it.
It's just a red
and
shirt.
a black Nike hat. And I'll, yeah, okay. Well, anyways, Women's Open, U.S. Women's Open was just a mess, and somehow the maintenance crew got that course dry enough where USGA didn't have to do what they consider sacrilege and play lift, clean, in place, and the tournament actually came off pretty good. And Arya Jutanagarn wins with after having a back nine collapse of her own, ends up winning in extra holes. And I got to be honest, I didn't watch much of the U.S. Women's Open this weekend at all, but certainly know about Jutanagarn and what type of player she is in the year she's having.
She's a good player. Now, she 2 years ago, she won several times. And now she had slipped a little bit.
And her sister won earlier this year.
Yeah, Myra or something like that. Okay, so she came up a little bit. But this is the girl that hits like an iron a lot of times off the tee and hits at a country mile. And smiles before she putts and before she hits. Big smile.
Refreshing.
Okay? But she's a good player. Now, when I say she slipped the last couple of years, she didn't fall off the map. Probably stayed in the top 10.
Right.
Just didn't win a couple of events that she probably could have. But she's a good player. Both those girls are good players. And she's tough.
And she's a national champ.
Yep.
Okay. Teased down the earlier part of the show that we're going to talk about putting. And a lot of times the stuff we talk about on the show is stuff that happened to me over the past week on the golf course that I'm just either want to talk it out or maybe something that I discovered that I think I can share that can spur some discussion. But a few weeks ago we reviewed the Navigator putting aid, and I raved about it. I said, man, I've never putted better after using this thing. Now, I haven't put it back on since. That could be part of the problem. But the past couple weeks, I went from putting fantastically for about a 3-4 week stretch to putting horribly the last 2 weeks. I'm doing the same thing. You know, I'm doing the same. And this has been a theme for me over the past decade, maybe, where, you know, I'll finally find it for a little bit and then I lose it for a month, and I'll find it for a couple more rounds and then lose it. Now, how do you be more consistent? It seems like the easiest thing to be consistent at is putting. Anybody got any tips?
Hit it close.
I'm not sure if anybody has the answer to that overall.
I definitely don't.
You know, I've struggled over the years myself.
Well, I guess this might be a wrong group of guys to talk about it, but
I think a lot of it's confidence, which we heard from that Navigator. I forgot his name. You know,
Dave McNally, was it?
But the Navigator product owner there. So, but a lot of it's confidence. But you were confident going into the weekend.
Yeah, I was like, if I started hitting the ball better and putting good, I'm like, here we go. And then all of a sudden, miss 4 or 5 putts inside 5
so
feet.
It's difficult. You're the same guy, same course, same clubs, same ball. You know the greens.
Yeah.
Conditions haven't changed. And all of a sudden you have from, let's say, 28 putts to 38 putts or something like that. And you walk off dragging a plow behind yourself as you're walking off the 18th green.
It's no fun.
You know, I totally agree. But it's amazing how if you don't strike the ball well and putt well, you feel pretty good after your round.
Oh, yeah.
You do the reverse,
Yeah.
you know, and a good putter will kick your butt more and more.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
we talked about it. It's the most important part of scoring is obviously converting the putt. Every putt you miss is one stroke. Yeah. And, I've just been missing a lot. Now, so I started obsessing about my ball position a little bit. I'm like, where was that ball in my stance when I was putting good and this was what I was doing? And it just didn't feel the same way it did when I was making putts. It felt so I would move way up in my stance and then maybe open my stance and way back. I'm always moving around and doing things. And actually tonight when I went down to the putting green after work, I usually practice putting on Monday nights for half an hour, 45 minutes. I pulled out a different putter. I pulled out the even roll. I had gone back to my ping, Scottsdale, and then I pulled back out the even roll, and I was putting pretty good tonight. I think that once you get that inkling that you're losing it, switch putters. Just switch it all up. Right. Try something different. Yeah.
We talked about that a couple of years ago. We were doing some grip testing and all that, and Rory McIlroy, I think, was our sample. Mm-hmm. Time for a big change in equipment, whether a big grip, a small grip, or mallet or a thin head, something totally different. And seems to make some sense. Although I'm not sure if it's a Band-Aid solution or not, because you got 5 putters in your trunk.
Yeah, it is a Band-Aid solution.
You know what I pulled out yesterday? The face forward.
No,
putter.
I was just going to ask you about that.
No, you didn't.
You pulled it out, why? Just to look at
just
it
took
or
it
to
out.
get some spider webs up on the ceiling?
No, we all played 9 holes yesterday before the rain. I thought I'd take it out and hit a few putts with it. And Steve had a little bit of fun with me when we were playing, but I'll just go hit some putts with it again.
So how did it go?
It didn't go bad. It's a totally different feel.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's something you got to
Different style
practice a little
and all
bit
that.
to get
But
back into it.
Saturday when I played, I had the same kind of round on the way in. I didn't putt very well. That's what planted the seed to go to the closet and pull out a different putter. And I have one that's kind of like DeChambeau where it's an arm lock. Mm-hmm. I have one of those. But when I reached in, the first one I grabbed was the face forward, so I didn't reach twice.
Because it's the biggest one.
So it's hard to laying on the ground, I could grab the head cover. So I said, what the heck? But I think it's a different feel. I think it makes some sense. I'd be more than happy to let you try it.
No, I can't go that far yet. I just can't go that far.
Or the arm lock. Can I do the arm lock?
I've never. That is intriguing to me because see more and more guys using that, and it does look comfortable to me.
So look what's happened lately. DeChambeau, Webb Simpson,
Yep.
all winners, right, recently. And Kuchar's been close.
Yep.
They putt the same way. So
with all the tinkering I do with my putting, I've never gone left-hand low. I've never gone big putt, tall putter. Mm-hmm. I've never gone anything that unorthodox. It's always been, 2 hands with my left hand higher than my right hand and a regular length putter and the ball somewhere,
I have a left-handed ping answer if you want to give that a try.
I've never gone lefty either. Probably the craziest thing I've ever done putting was long time ago. I putted with a putter that was literally, I got to go to my own camera here, probably that long maybe, and I kept it in my bag and I used it for the short ones, the real short ones, and it's not illegal.
Right. Now, you got 14 putters.
And I would spread my legs out, and I was literally, my hands were this high off the ground above the ball, and I would just stroke those in. It worked pretty good, but too embarrassing to keep doing something like that. But it did work pretty good. Maybe I should pull that one out again. It was like a bullseye putter on a short shaft, a really short shaft.
I had one of those big rollers for a while there, a long time ago. I mean, the head on it was just massive, and it just swallowed up the ball. I couldn't use it after a while. I just looking at that thing down there. But I find sometimes I'll relax my elbows too much, and I get my hands going too much and hit it offline. But if I go more, keep my elbows out a little bit and more pendulum, and just keep that. I usually hit the line a lot straighter than I would.
Well, taking your hands out is what that arm lock does. Like Bryson DeChambeau, if you notice, that left wrist can't break down.
Right.
It's locked up against that putter shaft. So, that makes perfect sense. It just isn't comfortable for everybody to try.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'm really trying to get back to I think when I putt my best is when I'm not thinking anything about my setup. It's just simple. Like, there's the ball, there's the hole, and I'm going to roll it there. I'm not going to think about my stroke. I'm not going to think about how long my backswing is. I'm not going to think about my stance or if I'm square. I'm just going to try to roll it in the hole. It's let the hand-eye coordination kind of take over a little bit and trust it and just have fun. That's the most fun way to do it, I think. So, and that's what I struggled tonight when I started practicing putting with the even roll. When I pulled it out, I was just and what I was doing was like setting my marks and trying to get my feet completely square, and then thinking about putting it right over that mark in front of me, and then I just loosened up and started just hitting rolling putts, and then you make a couple and you're like, oh, okay. So I don't know, easier said than done, but man, it's a frustrating game because if it's not one thing, it's another.
Always something.
It's never everything going at once, very rarely.
So like we said earlier, right now you have a lot in common with Tiger Woods. His ball striking is tremendous, yours.
The sex addiction and the pill addiction we have in common.
I've seen your video.
But yeah, you're right. Tiger and I do have a lot in common.
But it's amazing. You're absolutely right about the game, though. You figure
Perkins.
You go out and drive the ball perfectly and you shoot 80. Right? You drive the ball awful and you shoot 74. And it's because of the chipping and putting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? That's where the game is right now. Is 150 yards and in is where the answer is.
Yeah.
It may be even 100 yards and in.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that, 100%, because it's amazing how when you're putting well from inside 5 feet, your short game's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But when you're not, you're just not chipping it close enough, and you start to get mad at your short game, which is perfectly fine.
Right.
And then, it's nice to make a few birdies every now and then. I think, the last round I played, I didn't make a single birdie, and I probably putted at 8 reasonable, makeable birdies. And some of them as short as 4 or 5 feet.
It doesn't wear you down.
Yeah, that's just frustrating. That's more.
I think all you can do is keep a positive attitude. Like you said earlier, have fun with it.
Zen golf,
Let
baby.
your natural ability take it. Don't worry about your alignment. Just hit it.
Remind yourself that you're out there playing golf.
Yep.
And there's a lot of other things that you
I do. I've never gotten upset. I don't get upset anymore. I get disappointed a little bit, but never enough to not enjoy being out on the golf course.
Right.
Life's too short.
No doubt.
But we got a nice stretch coming up here. You got the FedEx St. Jude this week. Daniel Berger owns that place. Back-to-back champs. Let's see if you can make it 3 in a row coming up this weekend. And then, second major of the year, U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills. Brooks Koepka defending. And that's going to be on Fox, which, as you found, if you wanted to watch the U.S. Women's Open where we live, you can't watch Fox on cable TV because there's a contract dispute with Spectrum. So that's just ridiculous. I was actually kind of shocking. And they're not going to solve that by the U.S. Open.
Get the app.
Yeah, you're going to have to stream it. Then the Travelers. I was at the Travelers last year. Great tournament to follow the U.S. Open. Usually there's a little bit of a letdown after a major, but the Travelers is a fun tournament with a great field. Yeah, Jordan Spieth, defending champ there.
Get the big names for that one.
And then they moved to TPC Potomac at Avenel, probably for the last time. It's the old congressional tournament, right?
Is that still Tiger's tournament, the national?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I know that they're talking about next year's revised schedule. That's going to be one of the casualties. Talked about moving it to Michigan or Minnesota for something.
Really?
But, yeah. Then you got the Greenbrier, the John Deere, and then the Open Championship at Carnoustie this year. So a great run coming up. We'll be back next week to preview the U.S. Open, and then the week after that to recap the U.S. Open. I think I have some middle school awards ceremony night that night. But
we might have to start at 9:15ish.
I don't know. How long will that last? It starts at 7, right?
They said an hour and a half or so.
I'll see if I can get them to move it along.
Yeah, let's keep it moving. we got places to be. But at least it's a 2-minute drive. That's a good thing for us.
Yeah.
We also, though, next week we have the guys from True Linkswear golf footwear.
Yes.
We're going to interview them next week. So
yeah, I always love them, the interviews. And speaking of which, I want to thank Landon Owen and Brett McNamara of GolfCrusade.com for joining us earlier in the show. Again, they're trying to play 1,000 courses. Go check out GolfCrusade.com. Look at the course map is the best thing you can do. I spent some time there, just kind of scrolling around the country and seeing all these courses that they played. And I played a lot of the same courses they played. Yeah. But it's amazing. If you make it a goal to try to play as many courses as you can, you can play a lot of courses.
Oh, yeah.
So thanks again to Landon and Brett. That's GolfCrusade.com. Remember, they're on Facebook and Instagram as well. Good follows there. I guess that's about it, fellas. We'll see you out on the links at Seneca Falls probably this week. We'll be playing some golf, and hopefully I can get that putter figured out. So... thanks for spending some time on the Golf J podcast. Connect with us online on Twitter at the Golf J, on Instagram at _Golf J, on Facebook at facebook.com/Golf J. All of our episodes in the best of the wide world of golf on the web can be found at thegolfj.com. We'll be back next Monday night at 9 p.m. Until then, hit 'em long, not often.
GolfJ.com